Hey, welcome, family. So, today, as you can see, the sexual deviant punishment, thanks to Dr. Fauci, and what they call them? Well, thanks to the ones who pull the string behind Dr. Fauci and all um, their trick trick bags and um, manipulations on social and society as a whole, um, and humanity. What they do to the crimes they do against humanity. And I hope that you all can understand what I'm saying. I hope that you can hear me. Let me get my microphone here. Get it together. Get it together. Get it together. Oh no. Are we using the computer speaker? I think we're using the computer speaker. Let me see. Settings, audio. Yeah, we're using my regular speaker. I guess that works better than putting this other stuff in. Um, Let me see if I can try to use this and change it up here. Okay, so we're gonna change it up. Microphone PAL. Yes, there we go. There we go. So let me go here. Before we get into our discussion, y'all know how I do over here on my own little island up to myself. You know how I move. Girls TLC. Hey, person kid. don't hear her. Okay. It's not That's a beautiful song. I used to think that that song was kind of sad because the message behind it, but then somehow I always found a way in music to, because I love to dance, I always found a way to not express sadness, but express the hopefulness in the song. That it's talking to people to make a difference, to change people from a way, to take you, put you on back on your right path. And I'm going to be listening to these dudes today. They say their video is Black Women Aren't a Good, uh, hold on, a good choice for successful men. So we're going to be listening to some chatter today, a live chatter, because they're live right now. So um, this is my first. Now I went live on somebody else's live before, but that was a friend. So this is my first time. I don't know these people. At least I don't know. I think I know them talking about Black women like this, but they don't know old Reese here. Reese, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him because the whole thing in our community, it's a disgrace showing this stuff, showing our bad ways. It's a weakness. It's a weakness showing the breakdown or allowing a breakdown to be in our community. They would love for us to have a breakdown in our community. I remember a brother, he's no longer on YouTube because he passed away, but his son has taken the channel over. So that was Rap the News. I used to go on his channel. I used to say, "Hey, brother." And somebody did not like me calling him brother. So they would argue with me, fuss with me at calling Rap the News my brother. They don't know me from Adam. You know, they don't know anybody who's chatting on the internet, but they're going to tell me I'm wrong for calling this brother my brother. And they wanted me to stop. And I did not stop. And I never stopped. I always commented brother on his video that whole time, regardless whether anybody wanted me to, because they wanted to bring a split between the black man and the black woman. So let's listen to this real quick, just a short period of time, and then I can go on with my message for the day. I'm going to share my screen. What am I doing?
Advise brothers to go somewhere else, and then you say what we're doing is shaming when we actually point out the statistics that the ones who have the divorce rate at 80% are black women, while those who have the marriage rate is Asian women. We're bashing for pointing out that statistic.
80% divorce. Oh, so sorry.
Wow. I'm not understanding. My mama, maybe it's just too late over here. My mind is just not computing how that is bashing someone when you're pointing out what they're doing. I just don't get that.
But my brother, what happens when you find a group of women where the divorce rate is less than 1%? Would you still choose the other group where it's 80?
It would, of course not. Absolutely not. If the divorce rate at this group of women is 1%, and the divorce rate at this group.
In the Arabic, when I lived overseas in Bahrain, I learned about the culture. I learned about the men and women, of course, of the Arabic culture. And one woman, I met, she never married. And she told me that if you don't marry by a certain age, then you're considered, it's considered a taboo or something. Something's wrong with you. They consider that's a cultural thing they have. Unfortunately, we don't have much of a culture here because we've been destroyed as a people. So because we don't have we don't have no cohesiveness. And because we don't have no cohesiveness, we don't have connections or ideas that we come up with, concepts within our culture to hold a culture together, that such as the Arabics or such as other people in other countries have. We have been a destroyed and a broken people. So let's let these men continue talking on about black women.
Black women use that particular phraseology. I've never heard straight black men use that phraseology. This whole go with yourself. Now, listen. Okay, let me finish. That's a very sort of black female feminist.
I've only heard black men do this in an argument.
I've never heard.
I've never heard white people do this.
Because white people don't have a discussion about why the men are leaving.
I've never heard straight black men say, go.
The men are leaving and the women shut the fuck up in the white communities. That's what the white people. That's why there's no discussion.
Shit, they discussing it too. They say it's not yours, it's just your turn.
Well, it's not.
It ain't. You don't control her. You don't control the. Even in the marriage. What's matter of fact? It's a joke, right? What comes after $1 billion? Divorce. Y'all know Jeff Bezos. It ain't about the money. That's what I'm saying. If you look at it as if you are getting into a marriage and you realize this system is designed for this way, and you say, okay, these men are not participating, right? But when they do participate, 81% ends in divorce, right? So if you look at it in that way, and you see men are not marrying or not even engaging in marriages, then what we want to say?
Once again, hold on. Once again,
where you want to get married at.
Yeah, but the problem is not the system. It's not the system. There are different groups of people in the same country having different cultures, having different marriage rate.
And it's a different system in your country.
No. I'm not talking about my. Don't talk about my country. I'm talking about your country. There are different group of people in your country under the same system having different marriage rate. After your logic, it doesn't matter what cultures those people come from. It should all be the same, but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah,
The system is just an
why is the
option.
Asian American divorce rate like 20%? Why is the black white divorce rate like 45%? But you have the black divorce rate at 80%. Come on,
It's
man.
a system.
Under
It's
the
always
same
a
system.
system.
It's up to them
Under
to
the
jump
same
ship. That's what
system.
I'm saying. If you under that same, if you
First of
want
all,
to agree
I'm
with the
gonna step in here
marriage with a
real
Because
woman,
he does not get that.
real quick. First of all, the thing about it's just your turn. That's just talking about having sex with a woman.
He
You know what I'm
doesn't
saying?
get
We're
that
not talking
in the
about
white
contact.
society they have a
That's all
cohesiveness.
premarital stuff.
And one thing they agree on
But
is
that
keep the
term
black
is
man
sex.
and black woman
Okay.
down.
And Black Who's right, because I have heard the women
That's the only thing they agree on.
use that term, go where you settle.
Everything
I
else,
never use a term like that.
they
because
don't
that's where it
agree
comes
on
from.
how to do
And,
that.
but at the
Certainly,
end
you
of the
see
day,
Biden
black
and
men
you
got to do
see
what's good for them. And if
you see
black
the
men
two
gonna do what's
parties
good for
fighting.
them, then
So
all this, I'm gonna defend the woman stuff. Don't need to even be in the process. If women want us and we're good for them, it is their job to be something we want to marry. That's their job, not our job. They're not gonna take care of us. We're gonna take care of them. If they're unwilling to do their job, that is their fault. There's nobody else I can blame because some woman don't want to be good enough to be a wife. That ain't nobody else's fault. That's her fault. She got choice in America. You could even tell me she wasn't raised that way. She still became 18 and she could go get any training she wants in this particular country. There's no doors locked to women in this country. You can do whatever you want to do here. They even change rules so women can participate in stuff they couldn't participate in back in the day.
Fact.
They do that here in America. Women can be whatever they want to be. So to imply somebody else should be blamed because they're not choosing to be a good enough so somebody could propose to them and make them a wife, that's just asinine. Point blank period. It's just an asinine concept. They can be that if they want to be that. They don't choose to be that, and that is their fault. And we shouldn't be looking at it as if it's somebody else's fault. You know what I'm saying? No woman has to choose welfare. No one woman has to go to college on a program where you have a baby first and then you get extra money for college. That's a choice. No woman has to be trying to get in a Section 8 housing and then go have a baby so they can qualify again. Women don't have to make these choices. This is America. They can stay with their daddies if they want to. A lot of them could stay with their biological father if they would actually contact the brother and find out what's really going on with him, because their mom ain't even told the chick all types of lies about the man. If she go actually go find out who he is, she could probably stay over there. I've never heard a black man, not one, ever say my daughter can't live with me. I ain't never heard a dude say that.
Not one.
And I know some guys who should have said it.
Yeah, I've never.
And I know some men who should have said it. But I ain't never heard no man actually say that. So at the end of the day, yeah, it's their fault. So you having a fight because they don't want to be good for men trying to be successful. And I'm saying if a man reaches a certain level of success, they should be cut off. And we should all be promoting that. Yeah, if I hit a certain level of success, you haven't heard to be cut off.
As soon as he get on, he Leo asked for a white girl. You never heard this? That's been what's going on.
No, bro. That's not a promotion of what I'm saying. Nigga, if he on his way to become successful, he's not gonna leave you for no white girl unless you don't want to be there. There's plenty of black women that act the fool when a man gets some money. Kevin Garnett just came out of NBA a few years back. Now all of a sudden his wife want a divorce. We gonna say that brother not tall? We gonna say he not in shape?
So the spell here upon our community has been Martin Luther King. Okay. So Martin Luther King, right? He's the one that brought in, or he's the one that stood outside the closed door to open the door for Black men to be able to hold hands with little white girls and force us Black women have no choice but to hold hands of little white boys. But do we want to hold their sweaty hands? No. There's a difference, but I'm not getting into that. But one thing is, the guy does not get that. I'm kind of distracted here. Let me see what you said. These males, not men, are defeated in life, ambition, and structure. Exactly, person, kid. They are defeated. But what they got to understand too is we're under a spell here in America. And the spell started with Martin Luther King for this generation. It started in his generation, Martin Luther King's generation, to get them to lead us into our destruction. And we were led into our destruction. And our destruction is the breakdown. They already broke down the male and female. They broke down the male and female. Don't get it twisted. Day one, when the female had to come over and be disrespected the way she was, and the male had to see that his mother, his wife, his sister been disrespected him, which it disrespected him in return. So they're just continuing on the self-destruction, the self-disrespect. It's like repeating what the slave master did to them, which was disrespect them by disrespecting their mother, their sister. Other men of other races prioritize productivity, militarism, nurturing, education. Yes, they want to be like us. And I keep trying to tell person kid, I kept talking to our brothers about our male and our masculine, female and our masculine parts of us, which is all that you said. The female, she has no choice, but she has to be, that's what we do. We prioritize productivity, militarism, nurturing, education. Yeah, all of that is the Black female. So what they're not understanding is they're taking the concepts they're taking things from the Black woman, but at the same time to enhance themselves, because they're always going to want to enhance themselves upward. Even though they can't, because they keep doing tricks to keep us down. You can't do bad energy and expect good energy. So what they do is they have our people do it for ourselves. We do the bad energy ourselves. But they already done that. They already propagated it. They already started it. So because they already started it, they can't hide their hand. It's still bad energy. It's still low energy that they put out there for our men to repeat and do the self-destruction. So yeah, that was a good point. Other men of other races are prioritized productivity, militarism, nurturing, education, and for their society. Yeah, they took that away from the Black man. They took it from the Black woman. And then they're trying to prevent the Black man from realizing that he's not just logic, that he is also mother. He's my son. He's my son. He's important. Very important.
Who have,
I think it takes two.
20, 30, 40 different reproductive options, people who don't have the ability to abort, people who do have the ability to abort, people who do have the ability to cast a child out to, adoption or leave a child at a fire station. You don't think that they don't have the majority of capacity of decision as to whether, when, how, and who is born?
Yeah, her body, her choice. But at the end of the day, right? If we don't go in raw, how can she have that choice?
Brother, let's not go into the feminist spiel, because you appear to agree that if we did a math problem about who and is born and when and how people are born, I think we would both agree that the preponderance of leverage and control over that would be with females in this current environment. Would you not agree?
No, not at all.
So you think whether you equate a woman being able to abort or being able to determine whether a child is born or whatever, you think just the mere act of sex that a man might have with some random female is equivalent to all of the decisions that women might make after that point that men have no control over.
Can I speak, or you just want yes or no answers?
No, I'm just trying to understand, because like if for example, if I say if a woman tells you that she's pregnant, for example, and she says, well, I don't want to have this child, and you say, well, I really want to have that child. Whose position prevails in that situation?
Understand, in order to
No.
Can we agree on something? Hold on, before you cut me off, because I tried to let you go with these line of questioning and didn't ask anything not once. Can I ask you one question, please?
Please.
Can we agree that in order for a woman to be pregnant, that it takes two people, a sperm and an egg? Can we agree on that?
Yeah, we agree. What we may disagree with is in the whole overall calculus of whether and when and how a child is born. That's different from whether or not it takes a sperm and an egg to make a child. Whether or not it takes a sperm and an egg to make a child is different from whether or not a child can be aborted, whether, when, and how a child can be submitted to some sort of adoption or whatever. That's not the same as just a sperm and an egg combining together. So I would agree with you in terms of conception. Whether conception occurs, I agree with you. Whether birth occurs, I disagree. Whether a child is born in this world, whether, when, and how in this Western world, no logical person could argue that a man has equal control over that process than a female. Whether conception occurs, I would agree with you.
You know what's funny, Black Guru? In some countries, majority black, whereas a black man has to say over if the child is born, you see rarely baby mamas.
Well, I mean, because that's where there's a full accountability and responsibility of the women.
I'm back. But yeah, listen.
Culture is the key word, and I have to admit, we don't have a culture over here. We have, because a culture is a togetherness, it's a oneness. And I don't think we ever had a oneness, not even in slavery, because they had already divided our people up during that time. So I don't see, of course, in foreign lands, they're going to have more of a cohesiveness because all they went through was colonization. But in that colonization, they were manipulated in certain ways, but they kept their cohesiveness, their togetherness. But once, the way I see things going nowadays, they're coming over here, becoming Americanized. I see they're going to suffer the same things we do with the gender wars and all the crazy nonsense, and they're already suffering it. Take Akon, for example.
When and how children are born. How do you reconcile the fact that, with this female reproductive liberation, how do you equate that with the fact that you're going to have some random guy who is equally responsible for that child? And more so, in American society, you don't have to necessarily even actually be the blood relative of that child. Let's consider that as well. Let's consider the fact that, some meaningful material percentage of men who are raising children and are giving and dedicating their lives to children are not the actual blood relation of those children. Let's consider that part as well. And what does that mean?
All right, so can we consider that if you have a baby, right? If you are a father, that you had some say so in that. Are we saying that
we can
mama's baby, papa's baby?
No, we can. We can, but once again, it's not the majority. I have nothing against you. You as a person implementing a law, whereas the 80% who do the fuck shit are held accountable. I have nothing against it, but the rest of the black men, we just watching, because it's not we you're talking about.
When I'm saying we, I mean the proverbial we. As a society, if we allow certain procedures and we allow women to get knocked up by whoever random, and we allow for those children of those women to be called bastards, and we are allowing men to rule over these type of occurrences, right? Then at what point are we going to say, okay, that's her decision? That was, you know what I'm saying? She wanted to
once again, we can talk about this hypothetical, but that's not America.
Nah. I'm saying outside of America. Let's take the black word out of it. Let's keep the colorism out of it. Let's stop.
No, you can use black. Most black people.
Listen, you are actually not black, so I don't understand why you're saying.
Hold on.
Because you not. Are you in America?
Let me address your question, brother. Because what you're describing, that's one thing if all the full burden and the cost and the responsibility and the authority and the accountability was associated for that child was associated with that female. If everything about a woman's decision to make a child was fully on her and was not at all imposed on some man who, again, as I said earlier, may not actually even be the father of that child. If it was all on that woman, then we probably would agree. But the problem is not all on that woman. The woman gets to make a decision about the future of humanity and then impose the results of a decision on men, in some cases, not even the actual father of those children. Do you understand the fundamental problem with that? And the fact that, as the numbers appear to demonstrate, a relatively small percentage of black men actually are the fathers of those children. And a relatively high percentage of the overall population of black men are not the sires of those children. What's the sociological effect of a community where the majority of men are not the fathers of the majority of children? Think about that. Think about what kind
of hypothetical, right?
Think about what.
No, that's a fact.
Yeah. Think about how you're. I'm in a community, and I gotta pay, for example, in my real estate taxes for a school system, and I don't have any children in that school, or I gotta pay for police and a fire department and whatever, and I don't, other than myself, I don't really care or have much of any sort of thought about, how anybody else is benefiting from the investment in those resources, because I'm just some dude by myself. Can you think about how that would over time negatively impact how many men would view that particular community?
Yeah, if you're a successful black man and you live in a influential community, and it's mostly of the Caucasian persuasion or white with much might, you are You are. I get what he's saying. You're paying taxes to enhance that community. And period. We're paying taxes. All of us are paying taxes. And a lot of our money goes towards, you know, our enemies, our open enemies, those who have went out the way to make sure that our culture, that we don't have a culture anymore, that we're you know, separated, no cohesiveness in our community, you know. So we keep supporting, we keep feeding the beast. So in us feeding the beast, we get the short end of the stick every time. Every time. The Soul Train, you know, like I said, Martin Luther King opened up we got to admit, majority of our successful Black men, when they become successful, they do go over to other cultures women. So that in itself was the strategy that was meant to be. That's the price we pay for civil rights or equality, which we think in our minds that there's such thing as equality, but it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
As they should. And that's what I'm saying. If you saying 18% or 20% of men are creating all these problems that 80% of the men are paying for, why wouldn't all those 80% change that? Make it whereas they're not in that anymore or not dealing with it that way.
The whole thing is that is what we're doing, and you don't even want us to do it.
Yeah.
The first way
I'm
to
saying
change
do that. Do that. I said do it.
Part of the
save yourself. I keep saying the same thing. I thought we was on the same page.
No, bro. You're not. No, you don't understand what I'm saying. We're having a show about it, putting the information out so it can be common knowledge. You don't change rules and laws in a society like this until people agree that something needs to change. And your main thing is we shouldn't even be talking about it. So you are
my main thing is not that we shouldn't be talking about it. It's the way we're speaking on it. That's all I'm saying. The way we're talking about it is as if, we can't do nothing. It's like a defeatist attitude.
This is what I'm talking about. Airing our dirty laundry out in the open. Our men should never be arguing with each other. I don't feel like we should be having this disagreement, but over this, we should be more wiser.
Nothing to do with what we're saying, bro. They ain't got nothing to do with. Now you may have heard somebody else have a conversation like that, but you ain't heard nothing like that over here. And let me say, no disrespect, but let me say this real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because I think this is a joke, but this is serious at the same time, y'all. Serious Rob made a comment, y'all. Okay, now I know he was joking. He put the laughing emojis on here, but this ain't really a joke. Okay, he said Black women are getting pregnant faster than their husbands can get them pregnant. That's true. You know what I'm saying? All the statistics point to that as being the truth. You know what I'm saying? Black women having children at 24 and not getting married to 32 on average. They are literally doing this, okay? And all the children, and all the times that Black women got caught having child or children with some man they're not married to is ridiculous. So all this is true at the end of the day. Now I got to read this by Afro National. He says, if she's considered equal to men, then she's at fault. If she relinquished her quote unquote male privileges, then I can get on board with the man taking full accountability. Hashtag Black Rule Tax, hashtag overtime tax, hashtag support Black men's media. And thank you very much for that, Afro National. And I gotta say this too, y'all. I done said it before. I am willing not to blame women if you can give me a husband. But if you don't give me a husband, don't tell me not to blame them for the choices they get to make in a society where we all get this range of choices that we can make. You can't tell me it ain't your fault if you ain't got no husband. Now, if you got a husband, you can say, well, hey, that's my husband gonna deal with it, and I'm gonna talk to him. But you ain't got one. So guess what? It's all coming to you. Point blank, period. There is something we can do about it. And one of the things we should be doing about it is we need to be promoting to black women. If I reach a certain level of success, you are now out the picture. There is no talking. Now, I ain't gonna necessarily say when I hit the 6-figure mark, and I done told y'all that. I ain't gonna necessarily tell y'all that. But trust me, when I hit it, ain't no conversation about me dating no black woman if I ain't already married. There's no conversation about it, period. It ain't gonna happen. And the only way that's gonna happen, Jesus got to tell me to marry this woman. If Jesus don't want it enough for him to actually say that to me, it ain't happening.
Well, you know,
I don't think I can just change my preference like that. Hey, but hats off to you though, bro. You know what I'm saying?
To refer to Afro Nationals super chat. Thank you, Afro National. The problem with the notion of a black woman relinquishing her male privileges or her privileges is that there is no way you can either prove that she fully will do that and then hold her to that after you presumably have made that arrangement with her. Because one of the fundamental issues between black men and black women in this country, especially in recent generations, has been the issue of trust. Has been the issue of, look, I got you, I married you, I love you, you know, you told me you love me, I invested everything in you, we bought a home, whatever. I made all this outsized investment in you, and then 5, 10, 15, or whatever years go by, and you say, fuck all that, and you, you know, get a divorce and take half of what I have, including half of my pension, etc., or whatever. See, there is no
See,
that you can make
they got us running on survival, and survival was never the way our nature
that you can hold her to.
before. But
That's the
just
fundamental
listen,
issue.
survival. More survival talk.
You mean loyalty? You mean right to die?
Well, and I mean, you know, it's like, you know, you say like relinquish her rights or her power. Well, it's not like I can write that shit in any state or federal statute or whatever, and then enforce that later when she starts to sabotage me. So that what does that mean? What, you know, what does that mean if I can't enforce that?
It means that you rely on the other person to hold up the other side of the agreement.
Yeah. And if I have a particular religious background or you know, socio-ethic background, it may hold up. If we're Islamic, for example, or Arab, or
it means that we're too dependent upon another group of people for our survival, because we've been stripped of our ability to live without the concern of survival, and we have survival placed upon us. Our men are our weakest link in this. This is the truth. Our men are the weakest. So when they do become successful, the propaganda that's been fed to us, the spell, is that to be successful, you got to have a different type of woman. I hope that I'm making some sense. That you have to have a different type of woman other than your own, because she's too messed up. She lagged behind, evidently, or she may have been running too far ahead of the man. Because, you know, they say that, you know, Black women in America are very highly successful. Education, They're doing what they love to do. They're doing to do. Let's just say that. So that's what they say. So they're talking to women that are not successful, that are got lagged behind, and for whatever reason. I hope I'm making some sense, personal kid, 21. But this is what I'm gathering from them, and this is what I get from the energy, is that they can't see it, but they're disappointed, and they're looking at the world from a survival mode, when we need to see the world from a different way than survival, because we've been forced into survival. But if we had our natural ways and we stood in our true selves, which is moving towards the independence and not relying on the system, then we're looking at a whole different situation we would be in, a whole better situation, because that would allow the men to be men, natural men, But because they have to climb a ladder to get to a certain point for survival, and it's someone else's ladder they have to climb, not their own. Like being able to have your own land and survive off of that without any money made by the white man. So all of this is put upon the backs of the Black woman, and she's been seen as wrong and bad because of a choice of not made. No, she didn't even make these choices of her own. These are not choices that the Black woman have made on her own. This is why people are hollering about reparations. See, everything is everything. Everything, one thing leads from another. Everything's connected, is what I'm saying. And you have to go back to what made this the way it is. And we have to recently, we see that Martin Luther King, his mind was programmed, and he was programmed. His father didn't realize how much he was pushing him, or what type of way he was raised. He had raised him up to be a white man. So, and we lost our identities. The Black man lost his identity. The Black woman lost her identity. So that's important, is the identity. So that conversation ended. So we can go back to discussion, my topic, which is sexual deviance punishment thanks to Dr. Fauci. HIV low is a result of low energy, is a death sentence. But we know, HIV does eventually turn into autoimmune system dysfunction. But there's other diseases that can cause AIDS, autoimmune system dysfunction. Lupus. So AIDS is not really the, because HIV does not always end up in, it depends on how your immune system is working. I talked before, I have a friend that had lupus. She passed away from lupus, and that is considered an autoimmune dysfunction. There's so many diseases out there that causes autoimmune dysfunction. But what we want to talk about is, Dr. Fauci, he'll put on a mask and make you put on a mask. But did he advocate for safe sex out here for people? And, of course, we all know that they are responsible for these diseases getting loose in the general population. That's why I said the crimes against humanity that were allowed to happen, and when it because our people have suffered from all of this greatly, from intertwining with others, and our emotions, our mental, and our physical have been destroyed from us intermingling amongst others, as Martin Luther King had a dream about us doing. But he never realized that dream could be the nightmare, the very nightmare that our ancient ancestors had, because they knew already, if we had to rescue people from the Black Plague and they had a propensity to sleep with animals, and they were on the wild man side, a little wild, that would lead to destruction. And this, you can just see it within this whole society that we're in. You can see the destruction, the deviance of police officers having sex on duty, military members having sex on duty. You can just, it's in the culture. It's a lot of deviance in the culture. And then bad energy creates bad energy. Low energy creates low energy. High energy, you're going to birth high energy. But if you birth low energy, get involved in drugs, alcohol, sex, all these things, because sex is supposed to be something between two people, only two people. And unfortunately, it ends up being amongst 12 people. 12 people. 12 different women are likely to have been with that one man many, many times. All right. Hopefully this works better. But it's been an exhausting day, and just talking about, they cut their live off, but it was pretty good, and good discussion and good busting it out, and he said it best. The kid said it best. He said, these males are just, they're defeated. And, it's sad to see, but, it's over and over in our face. It's over and over in our face, the pain, the agony that our people have to endure. It's like we put it on ourselves now. We abuse ourselves. We block out ourselves, Men shouldn't put themselves through this because it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. But, life, this is not life. And this is the gift that they gave to us, After all the things that we've given to make this world have civilizations, they give us this. So I really appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate your input, Person Kid 21. And until next time, true love, real peace in the higher self within the soul. Till next time, family, peace.